Dan, tell us about the anticipation for this upcoming primary. Let's start at the presidential level. Now, I guess John Kasich is suspending his campaign, so that narrows it down to the big four. What's going on? People talking about it down there?
Oh my gosh, this is a huge deal nationally. With John Kasich, I mean, this broke last night, so I'm not even sure we got it in the paper. I know we got it online, but John Kasich is basically not going to campaign in Indiana in hopes of Cruz defeating Trump. So they don't want to split the anti-Trump vote in Indiana. And Cruz is going to pull out of Oregon and New Mexico, so Kasich can try and win the votes there to stop Trump. And all of this goes to trying to prevent Donald Trump from getting a first ballot nomination at the Republican convention. So if he gets 1,237 delegates, he's the nominee because he'll have a majority of the delegates at the convention. If these guys can stop him from getting 1,237, it goes to a second ballot, presumably, and anything can happen on a second ballot. In fact, Kasich, the Indiana delegates have said that they're more inclined to support Kasich than anybody else. But, you know, we haven't had a contested convention in the United States in a long time, and anything can happen at these things. So it's an amazing strategy. It probably should have been done earlier because Cruz just got killed in New York last week when he said the New York values line in Iowa. That didn't play well with the New Yorkers. And Cruz and Kasich are going to both lose big on Tuesday in the 5 northeastern states that vote. So Trump is going to come out of Tuesday with huge momentum coming into Indiana. And this is really their last chance to stop Trump from getting on path that he needs to get all the delegates to win the nomination.
What are the polls saying here in Indiana on the Republican side?
On the Republican side, Trump is ahead. There's a few polls came out on Friday. Basically, Trump was ahead by 8. It was like 37 Trump, 31 Cruz, and then another 20% for Kasich. So they're thinking if that 20% for Kasich flips over to Cruz, then you've got 51% for Cruz and 38% for Trump, and maybe Cruz stops it. The problem is, I don't think a lot of Kasich voters are going to necessarily vote for Cruz. I think they may actually end up staying home because if you're a Republican and you were looking at Kasich, you were doing that because Trump and Cruz are both pretty untenable to mainstream establishment Republicans. Kasich at least has congressional experience, or a lot of congressional experience. He's governor of a major state. You know, Trump is Trump. Cruz has been in the Senate for 4 years. He's way to the right of Kasich on a bunch of issues. I mean, Cruz is supporting this bathroom bill that they got in North Carolina that even Indiana's legislature wouldn't go along with. And Indiana's legislature is very conservative. So I'm not sure a Kasich voter automatically flips to Cruz like the campaigns are counting on. And then you also have sort of this distaste for this dirty deal that some people are calling it, that, yeah, Trump is right. The establishment is ganging up on him and preventing the people who have been voting for Trump from giving the nomination to the person they think is best.
You know what, Dan, you've been down there a long time. Indiana, there's a lot of region people who never go south in Indiana, very rarely go south. But it's a different world. I mean, if you get south of Route 2, really, or east of 49 out of the region, I mean, you're into just an entirely different world. And it's a world that I know because I've got relatives all over the state. But one thing that I don't know, and no one can really know, is that, there's this deep conservatism that goes throughout Indiana, but it's also a little bit independent. And in my mind, for some reason, that attracts a lot of people to Trump. And I just see him doing a lot better here than the pundits are saying. Your comments?
I agree. I think Indiana is Trump's state to lose. So he really he did a rally here on Wednesday. He probably needs to get back here, there's no other primaries after Tuesday leading up to Indiana's primary on May 3rd. So if Trump was smart, he'd spend his whole week here. One of the interesting facets about the Indiana primary is we have 57 delegates to the convention. 30 go to the statewide winner, and then the rest are doled out by congressional district. So Indiana has 9 congressional districts. The winner of each congressional district gets 3 delegates. So Trump could campaign in Northwest Indiana hoping to get those 3 delegates and add them, say he wins the statewide primary, add them to his total. So where Cruz has been all weekend, he's been in Indiana, and he's been campaigning in those sort of hardcore conservative districts in the suburbs of Indianapolis, and now he's going into southern Indiana, where there's a lot of, former Democrats that have become Republicans in the last 20 years, and they're probably most inclined to vote for Trump, but Cruz is really pushing down there in the 8th and the 9th congressional district along the Ohio River, trying to pick up those 3 delegates that'll be awarded for whoever wins those congressional districts.
So now that this dipsy doodle that Kasich saying he's not going to campaign in Indiana, he's going to suspend his campaign just for Indiana. And he's going to, Kasich and Cruz are going to hope that everybody goes to Cruz, and then when they go to New Mexico, and where's the other one? New Mexico and where?
Oregon.
New Mexico and Oregon, that everyone's going to vote for Kasich. It's all this anti-Trumpism. Is it possible that in a weird way that helps Trump?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because Trump has been saying all along that the establishment is out to get him and prevent him from the nomination, and it's a corrupt system, he keeps saying. It's a dirty, there's a lot of dirtiness in there. So, this just proves his point. The fact is, this is the only way to stop Trump, and really, they should have done it after Illinois when Rubio dropped out. They should have said, hey, we need to stop this guy, or some believe he's going to destroy the party.
So let's look at this now. When Cruz is in Indianapolis, what kind of? What is he just going to like bake sales, or is he going on the television? Where's he appearing?
He has TV. He has a super PAC backing him that's been running anti-Trump ads, at least on Indianapolis TV. Cruz talked Thursday at the state Republican Party dinner. So the insiders of the insiders were at this thing, 800 people in Indianapolis. And what he's been doing is he'll do like a diner appearance in the afternoon, sort of a somewhat casual thing where he'll pose for selfies and talk a little. So he did that in Plainfield on Saturday, and I believe in Evansville yesterday, Terre Haute. He's going to sort of that area around Louisville, Kentucky today. And then he'll do like an evening rally where he gets 1,000 or 2,000 people to, hear his standard stump speech. He isn't really changing his stump speech. If you've seen Cruz give his speech on TV, it's basically the same speech, except he throws in a few Indiana references. He talks a lot about how much he loves the movie Hoosiers.
No, you know what? If they have any sort of reasonably intelligent staffers on those things, they need to not do that, because everybody sees that as patronizing. Oh, I love the movie Hoosiers. It's like, stop right now, dude. Don't say that again. You can say that you like the windmills along I-65, and isn't that cool? Or, wow, how cool is it to hang out on the square in Indianapolis? Is like, you don't realize what a great place it is to party, okay? Everybody understands that, but as soon as you start talking about the movie Hoosiers, you lose everyone. But anyways, that's just me. Hey, let's move on. Let's go. We're talking to Dan Carden of the NWI Times. You guys know him as the guy who writes above the fold for the legislature all year long, or all session long. Now he's the man with the plan on the presidential primary folks coming in here. I do have to tell you one thing before we go to the Democratic side. We got a huge buy from Donald Trump here. So my guess is that Northwest Indiana, Visclosky's congressional district, is kind of close on the Republican side, and they're trying to get these 3 delegates, and they just did the numbers and said, all right, here we go, let's throw some money there. What's your guess on Visclosky's district?
Oh, it makes sense. I I have to think maybe it's a Trump district, just because the region doesn't seem as conservative as the other parts of the state that are supporting Cruz. If you look at the legislators from that area, they're not, let's say, as hardcore as Cruz is. So I have to, and Trump is a former Gary businessman, so he's got region connections. Not necessarily positive, but he definitely has been to Northwest Indiana. So, and you could see some crossover. Indiana isn't a closed primary, so if Democrats want to vote in the Republican primary, especially after Hillary wipes the floor with Sanders on Tuesday in these 5 northeastern states, and Sanders is basically done, Democrats can cross over and vote in the Republican primary if they want, and they can. Remember in 2008 when the Republicans all voted to try to keep Hillary Clinton in the race longer. Democrats want to mess with the Republicans and vote in the Republican primary and try to make Trump the nominee because they think he'll destroy the party and lose for sure in November. There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
We're talking to Dan Carden. Dan, let's go on the Democratic side. You know what? Bernie's rhetoric is just hyping up every day. I mean, he was on all 4 of the news shows yesterday, Sunday morning. On the other hand, Hillary's just strutting out like she already won. She's only talking about Trump right now. Is there still a race on the Democratic side?
There is, because Bernie has a ton of money. I mean, he's on TV. He's probably on TV in Indianapolis, network TV, more than any other presidential candidate, because he gets all these small donations. He's outraised everybody in this race. He just doesn't have a path to the nomination. And the Bernie people probably haven't realized that or haven't accepted it yet, but there's no way he can be the nominee just because he doesn't have the delegates going into this, and Hillary has, on the Democratic side, these super delegates that are supporting her. So she's going to probably put it away in Indiana or shortly after Indiana. Bernie just has so much money that he can stay in the race if he wants to, mess with it, and he's never really been a true, Democratic Party loyalist. So I could see him staying in until the convention, and I could see him trying to make a point with the platform. You see this sometimes when you don't win the nomination. Reagan did this in '76 when he didn't defeat Ford. He got the consolation prize was his people got to write the Republican platform, which he then used as sort of a campaign springboard into 1980. Bernie's going to be too old to run in 2020, but his Bernie supporters might get to write the platform. I'm not sure the Clinton people are naive enough to do that or to let him do that, because whatever he writes will probably be somewhat out of the mainstream that she's trying to appeal to. But that's that. I think that'll keep going, even though it's probably over.
Hey Dan, I'm going down on Wednesday morning. I'm hoping there's candidates appearing somewhere. Is there any possibility there's going to be any of the 4 candidates around on Wednesday morning?
I'm assuming they'll all start coming to Indiana. There's nothing scheduled now. Kasich was supposed to do a bunch of stuff on Tuesday, but I haven't seen anything for Wednesday yet. Like I said, Cruz has been in Indiana since Thursday, so I could see him doing something on Wednesday. Hillary has announced she's doing something on Tuesday, but she hasn't said what or where. I could actually see her doing some region stuff, because then it gets on Chicago TV, which goes into Michigan and Wisconsin, and that'll help her in the general election. So she'll be campaigning in Indiana, but she'll be trying to appeal to a general election audience in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
All right.
So
well,
if her coming up there.
If you talk to any of these staffers, I'm open for business. I would love to get at least one candidate in the studio here on the Purdue campus. So you never know. But I'll be down there Wednesday. Who knows? And maybe I'll run into you at a Cruz event. Dan, keep us updated. Doesn't have to be Mondays. Maybe later this week we'll do it again. How's that sound if stuff starts breaking?
Great.
Does that sound good? Dan, you're a good friend of the Times and the region and to WJOB. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here.